Hi, I'm Shannon McGee, strategic business coach and franchise owner with Network in Action here in the metropolitan Nashville area as well as nationwide. And today I have Steve Kuhn, who's the founder and executive director of ShareBuilt. Thanks for joining me today, Steve.
Thank you, Shannon. Glad to be here.
Okay, so you have to tell me, like, what is the genesis of ShareBuilt? Because you are a pretty unique nonprofit.
We are unique, and I didn't see this coming. I was actually I had co-founded a company called Seven Multi-Site Solutions, SEBAN, and that was about 14 years ago. And I was having a conversation with our CEO, and I was going to head to what my next chapter is going to be as Seven had been launched pretty successfully. And I thought based on my past experience of both being a contractor and working for construction companies that serve nonprofits, and then also being, a leader in my church, and then a private school board member for a couple of years. I've seen what nonprofits go through trying to get projects built. I thought there's got to be somebody out there who's connecting both sides of this equation. Who is helping the design and construction community find the nonprofits who need what they do, and vice versa, because most nonprofits don't know what they don't know. And so I naively thought there was somebody out there doing this. And so I looked for 2 months nationwide in 2022 and was stunned I could find nobody in the country doing this. Now, there's firms out there that you could hire that would be a program manager, owner's rep, and they'll discount their services for a nonprofit, but that's not what we feel like we're called to do.
Mhm.
So we are truly serving these nonprofits at no cost to them,
Wow.
uh, depending on how long the funding lasts and how we can grow our base of support. But we really do that with an army of volunteers. We have what we call project shepherds, and those
Mm.
are volunteer designer construction professionals who are either retired, semi-retired, or still working, and they just have a heart for really applying their professional skills to the nonprofit community
Mm.
and helping them, advance these projects. And really what it comes down to for small and medium-sized nonprofits is somebody's got to have their hand on the wheel.
Yeah.
If you have a large nonprofit hospital system, for example, they've got plenty of resources to do these kind of things. But
Mhm.
small to medium-sized nonprofits don't have that. So
Yeah.
they could even have expertise in their board, but those folks all have day jobs, and so
Exactly.
somebody has to be the sort of buck stops here person who makes the decisions, helps them hire the, engineers, consultants, contractors, et cetera.
A
So
couple things you said is like, for people who are ready. I'm sure there's a lot of people that may be ready to build, but by working with you and being that go-between, they're not only wanting to, they're actually ready. Like they can take advantage. They have a necess like they're set for success better than just this is something that we want to do.
well, that's a good point. And I'll tell you, just an interesting distinction is, of course, it takes money to do anything, right? But we tell the nonprofits, we are not there to help you raise the funds, but we'll point you in the direction of folks who can maybe give you some of that guidance and advice. But it's kind of a chicken and egg thing. What we don't want them doing is going out there, getting somebody that they know to draw a pretty picture of what it would be, and then somebody else, throwing a number at it of what it might cost, and really not having that stuff well vetted and coordinated.
Yeah.
They could do a lot of damage to their vision, and to their donor base by misrepresenting, unintentionally or not, what something will cost. And so we really want them to early on get a good sense of what the scope of the project is, what it'll look like, because they all need a pretty picture to try to raise money, but we want that to be tied to a realistic budget, very early.
That's awesome. So how might when should somebody be thinking about giving you a call? What types of situations and when in the process is it good to give you a call?
Well, it's never too early, and that's kind of cliche, but it really isn't. We tell them it's a lot more fun to keep you out of a ditch than to get you out of one if you're already in it. So we
Wow.
really want, and it all depends on the scope of the projects. I mean, some clients, somebody wants to give them land, and that is as exciting as that sounds, that should be a big red flag. Because if somebody wants to give you land, there's probably it could be a swamp, or have some other major issue that would keep you from building. So,
Yeah.
or a lot of nonprofits, they maybe have 2 or 3 different sites they're considering, but they need help figuring out which one should I buy and for what reason. Others, they've already broken ground and now they're realizing, oh my gosh, this managing construction stuff is not easy and somebody's got to be looking out for my interests. So anywhere in between all that. So it's really certainly before you sign any contracts. Absolutely. So before you sign on the dotted line with an engineering or architecture or construction firm, we definitely would want to have a conversation.
Okay. Well, and here's a different angle. So you clearly are helping nonprofits. But you're also helping those in the construction industry, right? You were sharing that there's businesses that want to give back, whether it's donate time
Yes.
or resources. Tell me more about how you help on the other side of the equation.
That's a great question. Yeah. So really most our business is it's really fragmented. It's always been this way. And so people, let's just say it's a small general contractor. They're going to help with what they know. Maybe somebody in their firm serves on a board of a nonprofit. So they go and they help with that nonprofit because they know about the issue. Or an owner of a plumbing company serves on a school board or something. And so that's how most projects happen. What we do is we help promote the nonprofit projects way earlier. So instead of a hard bid mentality where the owner doesn't really have insight into how many bidders did we get for site work or plumbing or drywall or whatever. We promote more of a collaborative method, which is called construction management, which is really open books. You're hiring the contractor for their expertise, their skill set, their resume. And so we can help those contractors in design firms even, have access to clients that really fit with their values and what they want to, invest in and help within the community. And it really provides an opportunity for these businesses to have some goodwill built up and be visible more in the community for what they're willing to do. And in most cases are already doing, just a lot of times in obscurity. So we want to raise the profile of what nonprofits are getting done through the generous support of so many businesses in
Well,
the community.
a really interesting viewpoint on that is again back to the working with you can help things remove some obstacles and be smoother, right? Like now you have a better story instead of some of those nightmares you hear, right? And the one-off is so, for you to work together and make sure it's a good win-win project. That's good for the nonprofit. That's good for the construction company, right? Like or the contractors to be able to say, hey, we were a part of something really good. But now, what about the companies that support or want to support nonprofits in a different way? That's a tangible way. You have a very low budget, but you also take donations to cover your costs of share build, right? So,
Yes. Yeah, so we seek funding from three primary sources: private individual contributors, just like anybody would support their church or United Way or anything else that they support with their dollars. The second is through grants and foundations and private offices. So anybody who has a private family foundation, and would like to really support a rapidly growing but still young nonprofit, we'd love to have a conversation. And then thirdly, we think we've got a better chance than most nonprofits of gaining that support from the business community, especially starting with the architects, engineers, contractors, but really including the financial community, insurance. I mean, think about everybody that has their hand in a building project. So and a little bit of dollars go a long way. I mean, we could easily demonstrate a 10-to-1 ROI on whatever dollars we have coming in. We're saving our collective nonprofits 10 times that. And
awesome.
that's an easy story to tell, a case to make.
That's wonderful. So, Steve, if someone want to learn more about Share Built or give or anything, what is the best way to get a hold of you or learn more?
Yes, ShareBuilt, one word, .org, sharebuilt.org. And we've got a great giving page there. There's a page for donations, and there's a page for Friends of ShareBuilt, which is a company partnership program, which would be, something that any business might want to consider. So we'd appreciate consideration and support, and really referral to anybody that anybody thinks would be a great fit for ShareBuilt. And it's a great way to really have a multiply your impact, I would
Mhm.
say, and really help the nonprofits that we serve keep their hard-earned donations in their mission, because we can help them stay out of trouble on the design and construction side of things.
I love it. I love it. Not just what you're doing, your heart for what you're doing, but the uniqueness what you're doing. You found a gap that needed to be filled, and you guys are doing a great job at it.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks for joining me today, Steve.
Thanks, Shannon.